Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi.
Okay, okay.
Awesome. No
I don't know.
issues.
I'm gonna hold this. I'm gonna hold this, okay? Because I've been having Wi-Fi issues, which you know about.
I know.
So
Oh my gosh.
I apologize.
Hi. I was super excited about today's live because I'm going live with my boyfriend today.
Hi, Connor. Who's this? Hi, Sabadoody.
Hey, Andrew. Long time no see.
Andy. Oh my gosh, it's been like 5 minutes. How are you doing?
I know. Good
Awesome.
stuff.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no, of course. Hi. Yeah, so I was really like, trying to, get back and easing into social media, and I definitely wanted to get back into doing these IG lives. So, every Tuesdays and Thursdays I do these high achieving hustlers, and I definitely wanted to feature you. I was definitely
Thank
really
you.
excited about this one too, but thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah, cheers, guys. Hi, Andy. Hey.
Okay, awesome. So I'm live here in Denver, Colorado now, and Carlton, who is currently back in Newcastle. We're totally back doing the long distance thing again. Hey, Jasmine. Yeah, but anyways, I just want to thank everybody for joining us in for another High Achieving Hustlers Q&A. Looking to add more value to all of you young professionals and entrepreneurs out there. I'm super excited about today's guest, not only because he's my inspiring boyfriend, but because, I just know he's going to drop so much value for you all. And he's super humble about it all. But, now's the time for me to brag about him. Hey, Emily. And so I'm just really excited about this. So a little bit about Carlton. Yeah, so we met in Vegas a couple of years ago, and then, kind of, everything kind of just worked out from there.
Yeah, it certainly did.
Yeah, it was totally by chance. We were standing in line for Hakkasan, and I absolutely hate that nightclub. But my cousin Selena really, really wanted to go, and we were going for her birthday. So that's kind of how we met, and then we just
Hmm.
got to talking, and the rest is history. Hey, Jeannie. Um, so Carlton is a musician, law graduate, and entrepreneur from Durham in the UK. Carlton is a professional musician of over 15 years, playing and collaborating with bands and DJs across the UK. He's really passionate about creating a platform to serve, celebrate, and showcase drummers and musicians. He launched Collision Drumsticks, an online e-commerce-based drumstick store that is now the UK and Europe's largest drumstick brand. Carlton has recently launched his Mastermind program under the Collision brand as well, which offers mentorship and support to those musicians looking to develop their personal brand and transition from hobbyist to part-time and full-time musicians. So thanks, babe. Thanks for being on this Q&A here today.
Pleasure, babe. Yeah, this is like, even when I was thinking about what to send over, I was like, this is just blowing the trumpet. I was like, none of that stuff matters. But yeah, I was like, I've seen, all the other lives you've done, and just thanks for giving me an outlet. Thanks for giving me a voice, and this isn't something that I'm normally confident with. So, you've started motivating me to do more of these on my platform, and interviewing, the likes of all of our artists. One of which is joining us, Andy. So thanks again for tuning in. That's awesome. But yeah, honestly, just thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's just dive right in. So first of all, can you tell us briefly about your journey and how you got started? Like, how did you go from full-time law student to now full-time entrepreneur?
Okay. The roundup summary, which I always enjoy sharing this story with my artists, but I'll give it the 2 or 3 minute version rather than the 5-10 minute version, because it has so many twists and turns. But to cut a long story short, I got started in music when I was 7 years old. A bit younger, I started playing guitar at about 5, but it really wasn't the start for me. Drumming was where my passion lied, and I got my first kit when I was 7. So got that, as we all do, we all remember that first drum kit. So that was, a big part of what my music journey, or the origin for me. That's how it started. And always kept hobby, it is a hobby. Always had music and my studies as two separate entities. I really just thought the two shan't meet. The two should just be separate. Focus on your grades, and then eventually, get a real job, get a proper job. Either in the corporate world or whatever. Whatever fits you and your needs, and where you're at in your life. So went to school, studied, went to college, tried to get into a sort of a red brick or a Ivy League
Ivy League, yeah.
college. Yeah. So, and it didn't work out actually. And I thought that was the end of the road for me. That was the biggest loss in my life at that point. Really, that was like the biggest failure for me. And I was just like, where do I go from here? But I ended up having my second choice, sort of automatically applying. I went to Northumbria in Newcastle. And that was really just like, a great platform for me, just getting out of the area, just growth, that huge growth stage. And then that allowed me to travel and grow. But a lot, alongside my studies at law school, I always had, my fingers in music. I've been in various bands throughout my journey since the age of 7. I got headhunted and invited to join the UK's youngest touring band. So I was in that for about 13 years. My life was dedicated to that. Hi, Scott.
Hey,
Thanks
Scott.
for joining. I just saw that. Cheers for joining, Scott, from Louisville. That's awesome, man. You rock. And literally just it just grew from there. And eventually projects come to an end. So right before university, that's when that project did. And then whilst I was at law school, I just had a chance encounter with the #1 DJ, who was Rob Orton at the time. So he was a big name in the trance, in the EDM world in the early noughties, so early 2000s through the sort of late 90s, early 2000s. And he said, look, I love what you do. You're hired. And I said, what do you mean you're hired? And how the encounter worked was he was clubbing and DJing in a venue in town. And I went in, and it was a, 300, 400, 500 cap venue. And there was a kit set up, and it was clearly just bashed, broken to bits, and just destroyed. But I said, look, I want to have a go. And I was there with a friend, and he said, go on, you should go up. So went over to the DJ, and he said, oh, what you doing over here? I said, look, let me drum. I'm a drummer. Yeah, I hear that from everyone. And I was like, no, I've been in bands, try give him the rundown. And then he said, go on then, try it. And literally would not let me leave the stage, just let me play all night, and just a brilliant experience. And then at the end of the night, he said, yeah, you're hired. And I said, what do you mean? He said, come back next week. So I ended up coming back next week, and we had 3 shows to start off with a weekender, and then that led into a great experience with Rob. But how Collision came about, for me, along the way, I struggled with this at the start of my career at 7, with all of the sort of growth that we were facing with the band. So different labels, managements, and brands started reaching out to us. This, as we gained traction and notoriety, I really needed that support vessel. I needed a mentorship. I needed guidance. I needed a community to be a part of. Now, in terms of my family context, you know this because you're a part of it. But, for everyone else watching, there's really no one else other than my cousin who's a guitarist. So you can see why I got started as a guitarist there. The natural, obvious choice. But ended up being a drummer. It was just out of chance, and again, something I took interest in. But there's no one else apart from that who's a musician. So there was no one paving the way for me. So these brands that were reaching out, it was only ever via email. It was very, very, very bland, the conversation, the dialogue that we were having. Nothing like this over the phone or a live stream in that regard. And that's where I started. And that's where we, decided to start being more vocal as a company down the road. So that's why we do what we do now. But at the time, I just had a really negative experience with the brands. And I thought, you know what? In the back of my mind, I always had the idea and vision of, if there's an opportunity for me down the road to work with a brand and collaborate with those guys, whoever it may be, what would that look like, smell like, taste like? What would that experience be? And also, for me, what would, the next brand, what am I looking for when it comes down to it? What's the vision, the mission, the value there? What's their beliefs? It has to align with me. Like yourself, I resonate with you, that's why we're together. But, I believe it, just like you said, people don't buy into what you do. They have to buy into why you do it. And that was really motivating for me on reflection. So decided to, pursue music alone, remove from brands, and just, if an opportunity came up down the road, I would take it. And it was when I got in the DJ space and started DJing and drumming in all the clubs up and down the country. And it was at that point where I said, look, there's brand, I want to build a brand. I want to, work with a brand, and collaborate and see what happens there. So there was like different brands in the industry. To give you some context, guys, it was like SJC, TRX, Soultone, big names, but abroad, internationally in America. What was going on in the UK wasn't much. There wasn't a lot happening here. There wasn't a go-to brand, and there was so much great music at the time being made. My friends that I knew, people I didn't know, but there wasn't that outlet or vehicle to be heard. And that's where I decided, you know what, this is the second time again that I've had this issue. This is the second time again that I've gone looking for a brand and searched for it, and it's not been there. And I thought, there's a niche that needs to be served, and that's really how we got started.
Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Well, and then for those of you who don't know, so Rob did that really famous song by DJ Sammy, because that made it over to America.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, Rob, I'll give you. Yeah. So Rob worked with Sammy. Rob did his own remix. You can go dig it out if you really want to. Place your hands, and that was how he got his start. But he was signed to Sony Music. He got hit up by I think it was Steve Winwood or Steve. I think it was the original CEO of Sony Music at the time. He got picked up by him. He literally rang him up, rang Rob up, and Rob put the phone down because he didn't know who it was. It was a withheld number, and then he kept persistently ringing him back, and then he picked up, and Rob went, "Who's this?" And it was when he just put out the song, and he said, "This is Steve Winwood, Sony BMG. If you don't get your ass to London in the next few days, we're going to sue you, and we're going to take that song." And literally put the phone down. He took the first train down, and the rest for him was history. But my introduction with Rob came because he's he's a bit along the way now in his journey. But my introduction was 4 or 5 years ago. After because he went to Ibiza, as we call it in the UK. He worked in Esperadis, Esperadis, one of the top nightclubs, a premium nightclub in Ibiza. Stayed out there for sort of 5-6 years, did all that, came back to the UK, and then continued his journey as a DJ and up and down the country in all the clubs. But yeah, and so how it all got started for me, it's just been a wacky, wild ride, and it's been amazing. It's been brilliant. And the brand's definitely the biggest part of my life at the moment.
Mm-hmm. So I know it wasn't an easy decision, to make that decision to, not be a lawyer and then move full time into this. Who would you say are your greatest inspirations, and certainly as you started making those decisions for yourself?
Good question. Well, I think, it's a really interesting question. I have thought long and hard about this in the past. And like my biggest inspiration to start music was my cousin. I've said that I've only ever done 1 or 2 podcasts outside of sort of Collision and Live. So whenever I mention that, it's the truth. Michael was the start for me, and nod to him because like if he hadn't shown me guitar, I wouldn't have got the music fingers, getting into that whole thing, even though I wasn't good at guitar. But that was really the starting point, that starting inspiration for me. But I find inspiration in a lot of people. I find inspiration in all my artists. I find inspiration in the people that we work with, collaborate with. I find inspiration from you, and I really, you've since being with you, I've just grown as a person, grown professionally. But I mean it, and just new heights, because I always grew up thinking, well, where I'm from, X area is the be all end all, and then you move to, Newcastle, and then you think Newcastle is going to be the be all end all, and then you fly to Vegas, and then you meet someone like you, and you start that next step, and then that just shows you that anything's achievable, and just it's all experiences and just putting yourself in different opportunities. That's totally. I'm big on opportunities, so we are, aren't we? So.
Well, and I know, a little bit, entrepreneurship's, in your blood as well.
Yeah.
So, would you also say that, even, your family are also, inspirations in business?
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry, it's just... But yeah, definitely, my grandfather, Granda Graham, he just passed away, bless him, but he was, the guy, the big family guy. He was like the matriarch in the family. He kept it, it's all together, the glue in the family. He started a incredibly successful open cast mining company, and mining to music, we could have called it that. That was a bit of a crazy one. But and then my father, so I'm technically sort of third generation self-made man. So they both had great businesses in the past, and my dad continues to do good business as well in and out of what he does, and it's specifically plant-based. That's all machinery, construction equipment. But yeah, definitely see and really feel that inspiration from those guys, and take the knowledge from them. And I always use you and those guys as sounding boards and opportunities to pitch ideas to, and see what comes of that. So yeah, definitely just see inspiration from a lot of places for sure.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. Can you talk a little bit about the company and what really sets you apart from the big competition out there? Because I know when you first got started, drumsticks are also very niche, right? But then you think about the big 5 brands that people go to, they're all American companies.
Yeah, definitely.
What's it like being the underdog and standing out from the crowd?
Okay, wow. A few parts there. Firstly, what makes us different from the rest? I would say just that personal touch, just that personality. People are people. It's nice to be nice, whatever you want to call it. We are humans. We work well with other humans. It's just it's part of nature. But for me, it's just the other brands, and it's really the reason we started this brand was because coming back to the story for those that are just tuning in. I cut a long story short. I went, brands started reaching out to me and I went looking for them. And the dialogue that was had at that point just was not where it needed to be. It was only ever via email. We would apply as drummers or artists to companies. It would only ever go via email. We might never hear back from them. 99% of the time, there's just not that mutual respect. They don't see that in you, or I don't know what it was, but that for some reason it just wasn't mutual. And whenever we got an email back as artists, it would only ever be via someone like an artist representative. You wouldn't speak to the owner of the company. And with your advice and your help, and having you sort of mentor me in a way and point me in the right direction, we started to grow this company together. And and that's what we took from it. And I took from it that idea of, it's you've got to work with people. You've got to be on the phone, having that dialogue. And that's probably the biggest thing, the community aspect of it all, building out that brand for the artists, not them compromising and having to meet where we are at as a brand, like I had to do with the other brands, more about us meeting you guys as artists where you're at. And, for the artists that are watching, that's always been our rationale. That's always been the mindset of what we do. And it's always been a big part of what I've done as a brand owner and as an individual. We're just making those meaningful connections. It's so important. And then what was the half of your question? I can't remember. What was
What's it like being the underdog?
Oh,
Yeah.
brilliant, brilliant! In an industry where there's sort of 5 leading brands, it's brilliant. You see the competition as collaboration and collaborators. You see those around you as fuel to your fire. I really take that in my stride, as does the team that we've built around us. And we're just looking to grow, making meaningful connections, serving more artists than ever, and making sure that every connection is a step forward, and really we deliver the same amount of value for the, that next drummer we look to sign, just like we did for the first one. I mean, we have artists who've been with us since inception of the company 5 years ago when I was growing it out of law school and college and that old jazz. But, we have artists who we're welcoming now, and, they're not late to the party. Now is the right time because that's when the connection occurred. We
Yeah.
met in Vegas. Would that have happened at any other time? Who knows? But it did, and life finds a way. And that's how I look at things, and just, serving yourself, serving others, and just, we just come off a mastermind call with our artists, and we offer that to certain artists who want to level up, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But having an expert panelist today, it was just so rewarding to learn from him and his experiences, and Grammy Award winner in the room, and just sort of getting that vibe and getting the value out of him. It's just so motivating. It's just so inspiring.
Yeah, no, I even got like a lot of takeaways from him. He was awesome.
Yeah, great guy. Todd, nod to Todd. Yeah, awesome.
Totally. Okay, so obviously, like, community is very important to you. And then as a huge global brand now, lost my thought here. Okay, yeah, so as a huge global brand now, how is it that you're able to support everyone that works for you, as well as all of your artists, because you are only one person, and now you have staff. You also have, like, all of your artists and everything too, and now the mastermind as well.
Oh my gosh. It's great. When you said global brand, I was like, oh my goodness. I just see this as like starting it out of law school in Newcastle, and like just out the sort of that cottage in England we say cottage industry, But yeah, but it's the truth, isn't it? And I just think maybe it is that piece. Maybe it's that, like, just treating it like a local, like a neighbor, local community, and then but on a greater scale. And just drawing out that context and drawing that growth and doing it all in that regard. I think that's been important. It's definitely been a sort of grounding point for me to make sure that, like you said, the next meaningful connection is always a blessing. And yeah, I think I think it's so important. And the growth is scary, exciting, daunting, all in one. But, you ride with it, and yes, we're going to make mistakes. No one's perfect, but you hold your hands up and you say, look, what, we've never tried to grow to be the biggest. We've always set out to be the best. That's what I always say to our artists, and I stand by that, because for me, this was never a cash cow or something. Like, if I want to go and make money or something, like, I go into law. I've just thought of this. I left the corporate rat race before I even joined the corporate rat race to then pursue my passion. But I'm pleased that this opportunity came into my life, because I didn't wake up one day and think, I'm going to own a drumstick brand. Like, who thinks that?
Mhm.
Dimitri, Nathan, I see you.
Hey, Nathan.
Hey, thanks for joining in, mate. Who, all these people, artists, friends, thanks for all tuning in,
Mhm.
guys. Really, really appreciate it. I love the
Yeah.
support. But yeah, yeah,
So,
that piece. I hope
no
that answers
worries.
your question.
So for my young professionals and entrepreneurs in the audience, I do have
Yep.
a couple clients as well that are starting in like the Amazon space, like Amazon FBA. So if
Hmm.
you guys don't know what that is, I did do a video with Andy Lamb, who is a seven-figure Amazon seller. So go watch that on my IGTV. But anyways, so I do have
Yeah.
some new clients starting out with that. What would you say were your biggest challenges starting a product-based business?
Well, first of all, definitely check out Andy's video because I gained so much insight from that. And like I've said, at the start of the call, and I'll mention it again on the live. The people you're bringing on are just hungry, fire, absolute incredible individuals, super successful. Thank you for having me on. I don't feel worthy, which is just crazy, and I feel like it's having your boyfriend on. Yeah, you kind of obliged to, but I appreciate it. And coming back to the question, what was it? Sorry, I've forgotten. I do apologize. What is it?
What would you say are your biggest challenges when you're starting a
Challenges.
product-based
All right.
business?
Okay. Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
like some of the newbies in the audience, or those
Yeah.
that can replay, like maybe they're just
It's
getting started
yeah.
on the
Yeah.
Amazon stuff. But the
For
product-based
sure. For
world
sure.
is completely different.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, for those sort of who are running service-based businesses now,
Oh no, did it
it's a
freeze?
crazy market and
Hold up, it
product. What?
froze.
Oh, sorry. There's a connection. Oh.
Yeah, you're like spinning. Oh, there you go. You're back. Go ahead.
Oh. Sorry. Are we back?
Yeah, you're back. Go ahead.
Are we back? All right.
Yes.
Cool. Cool. I'm back in the room. Um. Yeah. Biggest challenges for a product-based business probably SKUs. Probably you know, shiny object syndrome, we like to call it. The idea of, taking on too much and seeing all the opportunity around us and trying to seize it all at once. It definitely, it doesn't work out if you're taking on too much. Burn the candle at both ends is always something, I need to, rein back in and definitely, hold myself accountable and make sure that, what I'm saying I'm going to, live up to and hold up to and that accountability piece. But yeah, I would say definitely picking an area of the business that suits you and nailing that and seeking the help of others, because for a long time I did this alone and I was growing the brand on my own and I faced so many challenges. And whether you're running a $10 company or $1 million company, there's going to come a point where you face that wall, you hit that wall, and you need help from others, you need the guidance of others, and it's leaning on those people. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway running this whole experience and running this whole program and the business side of things. Yeah, I definitely think it's really important. And I think probably leaning on more people and those around you, family, friends, artist experts in the industry, whatever it is to you, whatever it means to you, and knowing that there's different services, different organizations out there that can support you, especially in a time like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, actually, can you speak a little bit
Mm,
to that as far as like for new entrepreneurs or newbies wanting to get started? Like there's so many grants available right now as
mm.
well. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it really depends on what industry you're in, but I know we'll start with the UK and we'll move to America and we'll sort of
Hmm.
international context. But
Cool.
certainly in the UK, there's with the government, it's a lot of support is out there. If you're looking to start your own business, you can often find grants, you can find repayable loans. Thankfully, or maybe, fortunately, we were able to start this brand with sort of $50 in our pocket. Not a lot of startup capital was required to get into this space, but there's certain brands that do require that capital. So, friends and family, potentially, organizations out there that would, happily review your business plan and then, it may potentially invest. But I would say start it as lean as possible. There's nothing better than sweat equity. Putting the effort in. You can cover a lot of ground with just heart, expertise up here, and just that real, real determination. I think that's so important. And then and I think that applies context wise globally. I think we us as individuals and people, what you're passionate about, you better than anyone else. You know that you're gonna,
Mhm.
put more heart into this than anyone else. But it's also important to lean on other people, like I've mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
But yeah, there's different startup grants and stuff like that. I mean, I've never seemed to rely hugely on those. But I definitely know that a lot of friends who are also in separate businesses, work with sort of Department of Trade and Industry in the UK. There's different departments and organizations out there to support you and support businesses, especially in your countries. But in the States, I know the Grammys is a huge organization. We have PRS in the UK for musicians and music companies. And again, it's industry specific, but yeah,
Cool. Thank you for sharing. It's like kind of
cool.
going in and out a little bit.
Oh, sorry,
Your
sorry.
video's like all blurry, but it's okay.
Oh,
Oh
sorry.
gosh, connection issues all day. No worries. Okay. Yeah, I did want to
Is the
say
audio
one thing
still
to
okay?
that too, just because like I've definitely, yeah, yeah.
All right,
Can you hear me
cool.
all
Sorry,
right?
but yeah, I can hear you fine. It's just bloody
Okay, no
typical,
worries.
isn't it? When we do a live, and we have all this
I
booth, and then this
know,
up. Never mind, never
of
mind. One of them
course.
things. Anyways, go on. Sorry,
No worries. I was just gonna say one thing too, with when it comes
please.
to like with like funding and everything as well. Something that also happens is that sometimes small businesses get capitalized with too much too fast. So that's also
Yeah,
something to consider. But I definitely recommend like getting a mentor, somebody that's
yeah,
been
yeah.
through it,
Sorry,
and
yeah,
then like, just kind of learning from, what they've done really, really well, but also like from their mistakes as too.
yeah. It's so
Okay.
multifaceted, isn't it? There's so many different aspects to that question. Yeah, definitely
Mhm.
mentors. I definitely echo that point as well. Yeah, that's a great piece of
Yeah,
advice.
totally. What would you say is the number one thing that young professionals or entrepreneurs should focus on, when they make the leap into something like
Mm,
as you
mm,
did? Like how,
mm,
like what made you
yeah.
feel more
Mm.
safe or more comfortable, as far as like, not becoming a lawyer and then going into this like full time? Because you
I
literally
mean,
like jumped in like,
I
completely.
think I think follow what you're passionate about, and as cliche as it sounds, if you jump in with both feet, the rest will follow. Life finds a way. You find a way to make it happen. If there's something that you have always wanted to do but never got around to doing it, what are you waiting for? You've got all this time, you've got all this, energy at the minute. We're just sat in a cage at the minute, just with COVID and lockdown, and utilizing this time, pivoting, not pausing. A lot of your advice that you've been mentioning throughout
Mhm.
the lives is just so important. And,
Yeah.
just nailing a niche
Nathan
is
agrees.
really, yeah. Oh, Nathan agrees. Yep, yep. Too right, Nathan. And we've been
Hmm.
working hard, again, with our artists to make sure that our artists know this, nailing their niche, whether it's a music piece, whether it's a genre piece, whether it's offering a new, teaching or a new lesson plan or a new consulting company, whatever it looks like to you guys. It's just nailing a niche, and also being passionate. Passion will go all the way. Following something that, you don't mind, that'll only get you so far. If you do something that you're passionate about, you will run to the ends of the earth, and money is a secondary thing. It doesn't matter how much you earn. We're still going to end up in one place at the end of it all. But it's the journey. And coming back to what when we got off that live earlier with Todd, you know, kindness is currency. Communication is currency. Sharing your knowledge, sharing your experiences, and learning from others is just so important. And I think that's the vital piece of this. Yeah. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, that was really good.
Oh, it's okay.
Um, yeah, no, I guess like,
Mm,
um, when I think about it, I feel like the number one thing
hmm
is like, to have a plan, right? Because I feel like a lot of people also glamorize entrepreneurship and they make it
Yeah.
seem super sexy when it's really not. I mean, there are a lot of late nights and a lot of early mornings. I mean, like I took a call with one of our clients in the UK yesterday, and it was like 6 a.m. for me, right? And it's just like, so it's like, it's not like super glamorous, but I feel like
Yeah, yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
like
Absolutely.
I make this
Uh-huh.
joke about like the Lambro, right? Like you never really want to work with somebody who is doing videos in front of a Lamborghini, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't really
definitely.
know about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
The
I
Lambro,
think a few
yeah.
of the big ones,
Anyways,
Ty Lopez and all that, here in my garage. Yeah,
I
I'm
wasn't
with
gonna
you. The
name any names,
Lambros.
but
Oh, I'm dropping them in. I don't care.
it's all good. Well, because it's like it's not super glamorous, right? And it's like it's gritty, it's hard work,
Yeah,
right? It's like
yeah,
80 to 100-hour weeks. And I
absolutely,
think people need to like really prepare themselves for that and
definitely.
like also build in that cushion. So like when I made the leap, I
Mm,
had maybe like 12 to 18 months saved, right? Just in case like
Yeah,
things were to like hit
I
the fan,
remember.
right? Which, yeah.
Mm.
And it's really important to like have that in place.
Yes.
Because like, people tend to glamorize it. And I'm just like, you know,
Hmm.
it may take you like 5 to 10 years to become an
Yeah.
overnight success.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
It doesn't
exactly.
happen
Yeah.
right away. And I feel
So
like,
true.
there is a little bit of disservice happening when I see some videos on YouTube where it's like all these get rich quick things. And, that's why I'm really passionate about what I do, because I just want to teach people that no, that's not the case. There is no
No,
substitute for hard work, right? I mean, like
so
you
true.
can work smarter, not harder, but there is no like instant get rich thing, right? Like there's nothing like that.
I
And
haven't
so,
found it. If there
yeah,
is, I
right?
haven't seen it. Yeah, exactly. And
Totally.
you can't. You're never gonna better hard work. You're never gonna better.
Mhm.
Just to echo that, and just to add, you're never gonna overtake that passion, that heart, that dedication. And it's so true. The Lambro mindset. I think it's a ticking time bomb. And I think whether
Mhm.
people get hurt, and you don't wish anything on anyone, but
Yeah.
there is a lot of misleading information out there, and
Mhm.
for me, sort of where I look to find positive, constructive information is mentors. Yes, I have
Mhm.
mentors as well. I have coaches as well, just like Monique. We all work with different
Mhm.
people. Find people that you can lean onto and have support you, and you support them, and make it this shared experience. Make it this.
Mhm. Oh no, it's freezing again. It's all good. I see like the lightning flashing too, so it's probably your weather. Oh no, can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry,
Uh-oh,
is
can
it
you hear
cutting
me?
out?
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool, cool. Well, I just got a couple more questions, and I feel like it's the perfect segue. So, a lot of people don't know that we have started consulting together. Can you speak a little bit about, your inspiration to start also coaching and consulting?
Yeah, I mean,
Did you get
I'm
that?
certainly. Yeah, 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 I'm here. Sorry, yeah, sorry about the connection.
I
Nathan,
know,
sounding like
Nathan. Carlton's connection's terrible,
sounding.
sounding like RoboCop.
That's too funny. Sorry, so sorry about the connection. It's just, again, this is just a prime example of how you've got to pivot, not pause, and make sure that,
Yes, adapt and overcome.
and just, yes, yes, exactly, adapt and overcome. Um, I don't, hmm. I'm not. For me, it was new. For me, it's something that I don't feel worthy of sharing
Mhm.
my experience and knowledge. I didn't feel like I had a lot to give, and a lot of expertise or a lot of, individualized, advice. I didn't feel like I came from, a high position. I felt like just every other artist. Um, and the real turning point for me was when you said, you acknowledged like this hurdle, and this mind. It was a mindset piece. It's always a
Mhm.
piece to me, and I'm my own worst critic, just like most of you guys. I'm sure are right. Certain people can relate to it,
Mhm.
certainly, and it's trying to get over that hurdle. It's find the confidence, however you want to find it, to just go. I'm going to take a leap into a new space, into a new industry, and it was just a logical choice for us as a brand, because there's nothing like this in the space. And I'll give you some context, if I may, around
Yeah.
obviously the Mastermind. The Mastermind program is for those artists that we work with, whether it's the current artists on the roster or whether it's artists who are separate and external to the brand. Those artists looking to level themselves up as individuals. I'm going to blow my own trumpet and team's trumpet again. I'm going to promote it as well. We have an opportunity to work together and collaborate, and we have this sort of I think it's a 12-week, 90-day program where we literally get on a regular one-to-one call.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
okay, okay. And
You're
and
good.
again, just touch base and grow together. But to cut it short, just diving in, taking a leap of faith, and gaining expertise of others as well in this space. That's all I can say on that. And just growing and knowing you have a seat at the table and something to say as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry about the connection, but yeah, that's
No,
all I
no
would have to say.
worries. Well, I was just gonna say too, like, I mean, um, yeah, I think, up until recently, you decided that you still want to keep the mastermind invite only,
Hmm.
because I know you haven't even opened it up to like, more artists out there, just because like, I know you wanted to find the right fit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not about sort of, to us, it's about serving the artists and making sure those guys are supported, and making sure that we're not scaling too fast, on
Mhm.
something like the Mastermind program. it's making sure that, what we are delivering is relevant, up to date advice, and we're sitting in a small group setting where it's three or four artists, and we have, some of the artists that are on the program are actually in this live now, like Nathan and Andy, and guys, I just hope you get a lot of value out of our great conversations. Like today, we had a Grammy Award winning artist on the phone with us, having a live, an expert panelist, someone who's Kelly Clarkson's drummer, percussionist. You don't speak to people like that every day of the week, and it's utilizing the connections I've built and the team's built, the company, to make sure that we're giving value to the artists and supporting artists along the journey. Aye, we do. Okay, I see you, Nathan. I see you.
Very good. Well, two things I wanted to wrap up with too, or three things actually.
Okay.
Can you share your reasons as why you think it's important to continue to have mentorship and continue to invest in yourself to continuously grow, in your own personal and professional development?
Yeah, definitely. No, great question. We don't know everything, and we're never going to. Life is just a knowledge bank, and our brains are a knowledge bank. We definitely need to just utilize connections, utilize networks, utilize opportunities, whether it's through college, university, school, your early days, your friends, your hobbies. Just trade, making sure you're trading energy, and it's an exchange of energy life. So making sure that you're dialing into different people's frequencies, you're making sure that you're giving as much as you're getting. And seeking out mentorship. It's something that as I've mentioned a few times, numerous times on the call so far, it's something that I seek out. I see mentors everywhere. My idols, my parents, my father who's been in business, my grandfather, my cousin who was the reason I got into music in the first place. Outside of that, you guys as artists and musicians, the artists that we work with, and people outside of that space as well, business individuals as well. I look up to like Elon Musk and you, and people like yourself, and it's just and it's different to different people. And I feel like someone who's as far out as Elon Musk can have such a grounding and a real resonation with you as the individual, and someone like him, even though he's never met you in his life. But just the same, I get the same feeling from people who are not at that level, the same feeling from, I get the same value out of it, and it's a bloody great ride. It's awesome.
Very good. No, thank you for sharing that. I think it's awesome. I'm just like super excited, about like how far you've come, and, just bringing in even like new staff and new artists. We do have a question that's submitted by Makeup and Beauty. What inspires you?
Well, everything. It's really that's a huge question. Different things, music, people, places. I travel frequently. We travel frequently. Just immersing ourselves in different cultures, and just just experiences, and just making sure that you're getting the most out of life. Whatever that looks like to you guys as individuals. But yeah, inspiration takes many forms for me, and it starts with the art, it starts with the brand, starts with, a story, and just listening to people and learning from those guys. And, when I was younger, I sat down with a gentleman who was watching me play, and I said, look, looking back on and he was an older gentleman, I said, do you have, any regrets looking back on your life? And he said, he said, son, that like sort of like, grandfather, father sort of like persona. And he said, look, every decision I've made at each point in my life, I considered that to be the right decision for me. And I looked at it and I was like, wow. So he has no regrets. And he says, what inspires me is just doing and going and out and growing. And I was like, yeah, I was like, it's pretty sound advice, yeah, pretty cool advice. And I was like, yeah, definitely one that I'll definitely take on and take in. So I hope that answers your question. I don't...
Good stuff. Yeah, well, I guess for me, it's always been, just legacy and, a little bit my,
Yeah.
that story about me, right? And my family, it's like my grandparents and parents, they all immigrated from Cambodia back in the 70s. And I know that they always, were seeking that American dream, just wanted us to have better lives, right? And so
Yeah.
for me and my story, it was definitely all about that legacy piece because I know that they didn't just want us to have just to settle for average lives. They always like,
Hmm.
they're an immigrant family, right? So it's like all they did was work hard, and that's
Of
all they
course.
knew was to work hard, right? And so just having that, like those as my role models to continuously work hard, right? I wanted
Yeah,
to be able to just like kind of like next level that, and just kind of show them like, okay, we don't have to just work hard. We can like work hard and enjoy it and work hard and have fun, right? And
definitely.
and really just like take it to that next level where we can work smarter and not harder. We can use the education and the things that, like just like, grateful to have, these
Yeah,
experiences just to be able to, you know, really set the stage for that. So legacy, super important to me, and just being able to pass that down as well. So yeah, a lot of what motivates and
that's awesome.
inspires me is just that. So
You're inspiring,
awesome.
that's why we get on so
Thanks.
well, I think, and just, I look up to you, and
Oh,
just love what you do,
thanks.
love what you're about, and that's what it's always been. It's just the reason we work so well, in my opinion, is just
Hmm.
because it's just that. It's just we we're there. We support that framework, and whenever we have a bad
Hmm.
day, we hear each other out, and whenever I need
Yeah.
guidance, I seek it, and you seek it, and you just
Same,
that's how.
totally.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
actually,
awesome.
this should be like another good question, actually, because I did another live with Molly. So if you guys haven't watched that one, go watch it in my
Yeah.
IGTV. But she is actually a relationship coach and therapist, and so she actually
Hmm.
she worked with celebrities, really like top level senior politicians, and she's been in
Hmm.
Forbes. Anyway, so that was a really good live, but you guys should watch that. Um, I do want to ask this question, like, can you share some tips and advice for setting boundaries? Because I know, like, for couples that do work together, you definitely have to separate that.
My gosh. Right. First of all, can you hear me still?
Yes.
Right. Perfect. Yeah. Gosh. I just think, again, just it's that idea of just trial and error. Life happens. People. You're gonna start tread over each other's boundaries at some points, and it's just understanding that. You need, you have that safe space to just say, look, this is where we need to draw the line. We need to, tomorrow's a new day. That's how I always look at it. You need to just, wipe the slate clean. Whatever problems, and again, whether it's with each other, whether it's you've had a bad day with each other or with external factors, it can bleed in, can't it? And it's just saying, work stops when work stops. If that's at 6, 6 in the evening, or if it's at 3 in the afternoon, whatever time that's it, and making sure that you carve out some quality time. We set up dinner night, don't we? Last night we sat and chilled and watched a film, and just talked, and this adds another level of it, because this is our reality, isn't it? Aside from being in lockdown, this is often how we find ourselves, just on the phone, and so socially distancing it to the extreme. 4,440, or 49, 45 miles,
Totally.
debatable. I'm not gonna argue over the 4 miles, but
Hmm.
apart, and it's just making sure that the time spent together is ideal, and it's always worthwhile, isn't it? And it's lovely. But yeah, definitely setting boundaries, and definitely
Hmm.
setting time aside to be there for each other outside of the projects. Because the thing is, if you're so passionate about what you do, you can be in your project all day,
That's what all
24/7,
we
7
talk
days a
about,
week.
like all the
Yeah,
time. There
yeah.
was like a
So it's
period where
yeah,
all we talked about was collision, and I'm just like,
yeah. I know. I agree. Yeah, I know. I'm with
yeah,
you, and that's why
totally.
that's why it's so vital to just set those boundaries, because that will happen. That your default
Hmm.
position will be that. If you don't, it's just going to always revert back to the business, because you just what's the thing where you spend most of your time, and it shouldn't be. It should be about you and the other
Hmm.
individual, in your life. So it's something
Yeah,
we will always have to
totally.
work on. Something we'll always probably work in progress. But that's how most operate,
Totally.
isn't it?
I feel like there's so many different things that we can talk about, right? Like so many different elements, right?
Yeah,
Hey
definitely.
Marquise, thanks for joining. Yeah, so I
Hi,
do
Marcus.
like to wrap up these Q&As with action steps.
Hmm.
So for, some of more people in my audience, the
Hmm.
young professionals and entrepreneurs, or if they, they're catching the replay, what action steps would you recommend to them as it relates to having a thriving product-based business or service-based business? Oh, did you freeze again?
Oh, sorry. I don't know. Did I?
Did you get that?
Yeah, I got that. I got that. Can you hear me okay?
Okay. Yeah, yeah, okay. Start over. Go ahead.
Okay. Nailing your niche. Nailing your niche is probably the biggest one for me, and figuring out what you actually want to do. Because you'll pin an idea down, and there'll be 4 million different things around that business where you can jump into, whether it's branding, marketing, sales, all the different aspects of business. And you've got to think, well, what is the plan? And carving out a plan from that niche and figuring out where you go from there. I think that would be the biggest advice and always lead with integrity, I think, is another one. Whatever you do, and do it with honesty, do it with sincerity, do it looking to give value to the next person. And I think that's really, really important. I think it's vital. It's just so vital. What's your take on it?
Yeah, no, that's great advice. That's really great. Yeah, no, I think action steps, right? Like, we could talk about this all day long, but you have
Yep,
to like
yep.
get out there and actually do it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I like to journal a lot,
Hmm.
just to help like get all the thoughts out,
Yeah.
and then I like choose things from like, once I can visually see it. So I think that's a great starting point, just knowing your niche. Another question
Thanks.
from Makeup and Beauty. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh, you go. So yeah, younger. So wow. Start earlier. Probably just jump into just take chances. Jump into whether it's an idea, a band, a project, something that gets you passionate about looking to move forward and looking to dive into something. Probably starting earlier. That was probably my that's what I would say. Just get into it, get immersed. I don't know how much younger I could have started. Starting the band at 7, but or the brand maybe a bit earlier. And
I feel like
not
kids are
yeah.
starting so young nowadays, though.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, that's the truth.
yeah, I
Yeah.
saw like, the baby
Hmm.
drummer. I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah, definitely. But like he's
mhm.
building brand earlier as well, because like these kids like are growing up now with like 300, 400, 500,000 followers that they don't know
Yeah,
what they're going to do with yet, but then they're going to
exactly.
market it down the road, aren't they? And then they're going to think, well, this can help a lot of people. This is a problem here. Here's the solution. And
Hmm.
you just don't know what you have yet. I watched The Social Network a few days ago. It's probably one of my favorite films. I keep watching, but it's that, isn't it? Just that idea of just like he started it in college, Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, all this, and what you see now. But it's just, definitely just starting something, building it. And the piece there was he didn't know what he had yet, and he was trying to run with so many different ideas, but he didn't know where it was going. So just letting the world take you, and just connections, building networks. That's the biggest, building connections and building networks and making positive relationships with powerful and individual people in your life. Yeah.
Cool. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing. Well,
Thank
and
you.
thank you everybody for submitting questions as well. I was super excited about
Yeah,
featuring
yeah,
Carlton today.
definitely.
And I appreciate you sharing, like your story and your tips and advice as well, because I do think, you have a lot of value to give and you definitely are very, very humble about it. So
I don't
this is
know.
the perfect opportunity to kind of brag about you a little bit. um,
Thanks again for giving me the opportunity too, and just
totally.
I think, and again, thanks for your time and your journey as well. Just sharing that
Mhm.
with your what
So
you're doing is great, and keep it up, because I love
thank
these, and I love
you.
tuning in. I love hearing about all the different lives and people coming off the call, and obviously
Yeah.
watching them.
I
They're
feel
great.
like
It's great.
oh no, totally. I feel like even though like 2020 has been like kind of a crazy year, I still have a very abundant mentality. And I feel like
Mhm.
it's just sharing in my network, sharing in, relationships and stuff too. So I definitely want to keep featuring more high achieving hustlers every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So definitely
Whoop,
tune
whoop.
in.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people with more questions, how can they get in touch with you?
Um. Wow. So I think have you tagged me? Yeah. At Carlton
Yeah.
Save Latin. That's Instagram. Shoot me a DM. I run a business that's on Instagram, so I'm pretty responsive, as is the team. More than happy to shoot me an email as well, with Carlton at collisiondrumsticks.com, or if you want to check out the brand, you're more than welcome to. It's at Collision Drumsticks is the brand as well, and you can speak to us there and connect, and we can reconnect. And yeah, we're working on a few things over there, whether it's lives and different things like that. So you can stay up to date with everything that we're doing over there, and Facebook and the website as well, collisiondrumsticks.com. But I don't know. I don't know why you'd want to connect with me, but hey, it'd be great to have a chat if you feel it helps.
Hey Lars. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in years. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah,
It's
no,
great to see everyone
I'll definitely have
joining
like
and
your links
tuning
and
in.
everything featured in here in the replay. So
Thank
again,
you.
I just want to, thank everyone for tuning in or catching the replay. Please let me know your thoughts and feedback. As always, I'm just like looking to continue to add more amazing and inspiring individuals on these lives. Let me know again, or if you want me to have Carlton again, maybe with better connections, so we can actually see you.
Yeah, sorry.
Any
So
final
sorry.
thoughts from you, babe?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Sorry for the loose connection. I don't know what's going on with the bloody world today, but hey, one of them
The
things with the
weather. I could see
internet.
the lightning flashing over there.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. That was a bit wild. But yeah, thanks for
Oh.
having me. I think this is great. It's so needed. Cheers for tuning in. Shawnee. Hello, Sean. Just it's been brilliant. Thanks again. And yeah, let's do this down the road. I know you're
Yeah, I feel
passionate
like
about
there's a lot of
that. So
different topics. There's a lot of different topics we can cover, but I try
you're an
definitely
open
try to
book.
keep it
I'm
on
an open
track.
book. Yeah. If the public wants this, that's it. That's what it's all about. But yeah, thanks again.
Sounds good. All right, thanks everyone. Have a good day or evening, wherever
See
you
you
are.
guys. Thanks for
See ya.
tuning in. Thanks
Bye.
for taking the time out of your day. See you soon.